Dated from the DAC European qualifier. We're going to head into our Game 3 draft now with the first pick, Slardar. What a surprise, gods.
Well, once again, not banned, always first picked. That is some hero. I mean, it's weird. It's like never a hero you look at in the game like, oh, that was such an OP hero, but he is just always reliable, always there. Always great in the late game to have a reliable blink stun initiator, and Corrosive Haze is... It's the new track, I guess. It's always pretty damn good at all stages of the game.
Nip are going to respond with a hero that we haven't seen all series long, Keeper of the Light, and now a Weaver. I think one of the things, I don't think you ever want to give up Weaver and Slardar to a team. Something about the versatility and potential. You know, you could run a support Weaver and a core Slardar, core Weaver, support Slardar. It just feels a little bit too strong, so...
Yeah, at the moment, from what we're seeing, I definitely agree with that. Alliance are going to focus on the minus armor, though they get the Venge to go with the Slardar instead. Venge, Alliance seem to prefer to run as support. I don't think I've seen Loda play a core Venge yet in any of their games. Could be wrong on that, if there's a game I've missed, but it seems like they seem to lean towards EGM handling the 5-position Venge mostly.
Right. And, I think in both of our games we've had some serious defensive style supports for both teams. I'm interested to see whether or not Dazzle actually slips through the pool here, or well, I guess it doesn't really fit for Nip, right? Because they already have the Keeper of the Light, and Alliance presumably have their Vengeful Spirit support. So
I saw we had one game with Coddle and Dazzle where it was like a 4-position farming Dazzle kind of. Maybe I think it was Puppy playing it because I remember there being Solar Crest and all these other big farmed items on Dazzle. But yeah, typically that does not seem like a support duo you have. You've got no lockdown control between the two, but very fast Amber Grab. Nip know what they want. They didn't even seem to react to the Alchemist ban, so don't think that was something they were planning on picking up regardless. And here we'll see Koikva probably on one of the more active mids than some of his other mids, so to speak. He's often playing the more farm-centric ones, the Shadow Fiend, the Alchemist, last game the Lone Druid, but when he plays the Ember Spirit, it gets a bit more involved. Although sometimes it is still Era playing it on the safe lane, depending on what the draft ends up becoming.
I like the Alchemist ban from Alliance, both Alchemist and Naga Siren, making sure that Nip do not get the opportunity to play that slower split push Radiance game. SF and Nyx by Nip winning on Alliance's third pickup here. Maybe we'll see a Limp Invoker this... Oh, never mind, it's 1-2 banned. All right. I was like, well, that's one of the common pickups against Ember Spirit, right? But
yeah.
Legion
no one wants
Commander.
to Quake to have Invoker anymore, it seems.
Yeah.
Which I think it's well worth a respect ban, just because I feel like he's way more comfortable in this series than others, and there's been games where he's just single-handedly won nip games off of it.
I like it. I like the good lockdown versus the Ember Spirit. It does mean that our Slardar is going to support. We'll see whether or not Vengeful Spirit is also going to be in that role.
Yep.
Ninja's Pyjamas do have a fair amount of mobility. I think they still need some extra lockdown from a core.
We'll see what that's where that's going to come from. The Searing Chains in itself doesn't seem like enough, but plenty of room to either get Air or something, or from their other support if they want to. Seems like Nip typically running the Weaver in either the inner core role, either for Trixie or for Era, and perhaps even more so on Trixie in the offlane. So maybe we see Era play something kind of tempo controlling from the carry role, but we'll find out soon enough. And so far, no obvious Coddle partner. Not that there necessarily needs to be one. The hero in itself can be very strong and potent in the right hands, and it does kind of deter a lot of those physical damage cores because of the blinding light, and that's something where Alliance are likely to head that direction with the Venge Slardar. But Lifesteal is still in the pool, and that to me is perhaps something that Alliance are eyeing off.
Ninjas in Pyjamas Need some sort of team. I'm trying to think of what they need here because they have this early aggression of the Ember Spirit. They have some okay team fight. They need something to tie all of this together, whether it's the Weaver safe lane core or off lane. It does feel like there are some very weird peaks and valleys for Ninjas and Pyjamas lineup so far. I like the Rubik here just because it is a quick disable against the initiations of Alliance because they have both the Blink Dagger of Slardar as well as the Legion Commander. I feel like you do need that kind of quick cast disable to be able to put a wrench in the cogs of Alliance's workings.
Slardar's the kind of hero, like when he Blink Crushes in, you want to have some hero, like a support, like a Rubik, who's not getting hit by the crush, who instantly lifts him so you can kill the Slardar. Because of the short cooldown on the crush, you don't want to let the Slardar survive his initiation. Even if it means whoever he crushes gets blown up by like a Slardar Lifestealer or some follow-up from whatever else it may be, you need to punish the Slardar when he initiates. So, yeah, as you kind of mentioned, Rubik does give you that possibility. And it's also going to leave Nip with the overall last pick for a core role as well. So that kind of leaves them a lot of freedom to last pick some kind of... I mean, they can pick their last hero into the mid lane, into the safe lane. Theoretically, they could get a team fighting off laner if they want. They're very versatile thanks to the Weaver, able to go in many different roles. And similarly, the Ember can go either safe lane, mid, and I think we even saw one game where it was actually an off lane like general Ember Spirit from Na'Vi. So not a typical or something I'd expect out of Nip, but end of the day, Nip can really wait to see what Alliance are running before they decide on their last pick.
There's the Lifestealer, as you were talking about before, for Alliance. So they'll have a Lifestealer Legion Commander, Lifestealer Slardar combination. Hell, even Lifestealer Vengeful Spirit is a powerful laning duo, as we saw from the earlier game for Nip, where Jonas and Vaughn had to just jungle away.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think Alliance needs to pick it up then, otherwise it gets banned out. Something that NIP could have considered banning in the second stage, but at the same time, there's other heroes you can pair with the Slardar. We've seen the PA come out, I mean, even Chaos Knight, which has been a loader go-to while it didn't work in Game 1, does match up pretty nicely with the minus armor, so you are a bit limited. You only have so many bans, and you've got to target someone to offlaners, someone to mids, and once you get to that fifth pick, it's very... If it's a loader hero, then you know, ban the Lifestealer. So we get to that last ban. They actually banned Darkseer, expecting a mid-limp Legion Commander.
I guess
I want to say Limp's played that before, but...
Yeah, I think against the mid-Ember Spirit possibility, that maybe the Legion Commander can fit into that mid lane role. But as we said, like, Nip are more than willing to run safe lane Ember Spirit on Era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I imagine Nip are going to respond to whatever the fifth pick is from Alliance and then go from there. So if they see like some kind of mid matchup they don't want Ember in, they can send him safe lane. Or if they see like a key hero that they want to pick to like counter the cause of Alliance, something that can like kite the Lifesteal around or deal with this last fifth pick of theirs, that's where if it's a mid hero, I don't think they'll be afraid to pick it and run Era on the Ember Spirit. But
ooh, you know what I'm kind of down with? If it wasn't for the Legion Commander, I'd be real down with a Centaur pickup for Nip. You know, you need an initiator of some kind, and Centaur is really good disengage with a Lifestealer, but it seems like Alliance do have a lot of lockdown now with the Mirana rounding up their lineup as their mid laner, and we will have a more typical off lane Unisymphon Legion.
Yeah, I'm wondering what they're thinking. I agree on the initiation point where it's like Ember Searing Chains, Rubik Lift, these are not things you can rely on past the laning stage, and perhaps late game your Ember when he's got tons of items can go into the Blink Dagger and have all those short cooldowns and use the Searing Chains a bit more aggressively, but you want to ideally have that Centaur-esque hero. Sand King would have been great to be starting off those fights.
Clock's still in the pool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say they also need some damage there. Like the Weavers often will kind of never not be able to keep up and dish out enough damage like throughout the mid to late game unless they go like the really glass cannon build, and that's where I feel like Clock is a pure initiator, and they're going to go for the offlane Trixie Weaver and put TA mid and Era on the safe lane Ember. So they kind of lack that initiator, but they're going to try and make up for it by having an extra like core that can transition to the late game, and also a core that's very good against the Lifestealer and the Mirana as far as that mid, like the lane goes, and even pretty good against the Mirana at all stages because Refraction is more often than not going to block that Starstorm damage.
You know, gods, I'm down with the Templar Assassin versus Lifestealer and Mirana and even some of these other heroes, but I am not feeling the distinct lack of initiation here in NIP for Game 3. I don't know how you feel about it, but I look at Alliance's lineup and I'm thinking it's got a lot of synergy with each other. This also seems like a very easy lineup to run in a stressful Game 3 where you could get eliminated. You know, it's a Lifestealer Legion Commander, Lifestealer Slardar Bomb. You know how to run that. You know how to play out this Mirana. Team fights and mid-game and even the laning phase does seem to be Alliance favored, and NIP are going to have a very awkward, like, they have a lot of pickup potential, and they have these weird power spikes where they're good at it when a certain item is picked up, but I think for the most part, Alliance should be winning the first 25 minutes of this game.
Yeah. I think it's a very tough game to play Ember Spirit against all the lockdown and control. The magic damage isn't going to be all that useful against the Lifestealer, and one stun could just instantly be the death of Era with all the physical damage flying around, so very tough game for him, and I'm definitely in agreement over the lack of lockdown being a problem. Whereas Alliance, I feel like this game and last game, they've found like a drafting style that works for them, because up until like in going back to that first game and in their previous series, I feel like their drafts have sometimes been disastrous. Like they've just straight up lost games on drafts or put themselves at a big disadvantage. But these two games, they've kind of shored up their drafts a bit and put Loda in a role where he can succeed, use the Lifestealer well, and had like good, nice kind of transitioning core heroes for Limp. Although the difference is it actually is going to be Limp on Legion and the offlane Mirana. That is perhaps a bit of a surprise. That's not what I expected.
I've been sitting here just looking at Yoda because the funny thing is Legion Commander does well against this lane, right? Because he gets telekinesis and he gets chained, but as the chain goes down, he presses the attacks and removes it. So they must really feel like the bad matchup of Mirana versus Templar Assassin is so bad that they'd much rather have Legion Commander in this situation and risk Jonas Umfan's life as an offlane Mirana against Rubik Ember.
Yeah, I mean, that is a pretty bad favored matchup for the TA in the mid against the Mirana, so I'm more just curious. I'd love to know for Alliance if they were planning of running the Legion mid regardless of what NIP picked, or if this was like, they picked TA, let's swap it up.
Yeah, because NIP expected it, right, with that Darkseer ban, even though, we were kind of thinking Jonas Umfan, Legion Commander, that's a classic, but maybe this was the plan all along. Cinderin could be it will be our first blood here. Alliance quickly snatch up that kill. Trixie makes his way to the same old juke spot he's been spending so much time with in the offlane. Weaver trying to get away from these counter wards.
And once again, just securing their safe lane. I mean, this is really, in some ways, this is just Alliance. 2 games in a row, going back to basics. Secure your safe lane. Start with 3 heroes up there if you need to. Don't worry. And then just, with your offlaner, jungle them up. Like last game, it's just like, go Iron Talon jungle if you need to. This game, it's jungling with a Mirana, so it's not going to be any Iron Talon, it's just going to be arrowing those big neutral creeps, but it really is just a more standard, easy to execute, but very effective style of play from Alliance, making sure that their safe lane is won, their offlaner gets farm and experience without dying, and then they have a mid matchup where it's at least even or somewhat favorable. This one, for now, Legion is doing very well, 8 CS to the TA 6, early levels go very well for the Legion, perhaps after a few more points in the refraction that starts to change a bit, but for now, Limp is having a great time.
Yeah, really putting the pressure to Koifa. He's going to be forced to burn through his first healing salve here. Jonas Umfan's doing okay as the offlane Weaver. It's just Trixie will have a harder time. This seems almost where Trixie thrives. So when he's got those really tough laning phase matchups, he can play a very elusive style game. Cinderin has given up on helping Trixie. He's going to spend all his time in the jungle, it seems.
Yep. No big surprises there. Won't be able to get to the haste rune in time as Jonas will be slightly off the mark with that arrow. But again, it's Hanskin rotating in on this top lane. Trixie needs to be very careful about how he plays this one. Observe what is there, but Hanskin actually walks into the creep wave, so he should be alright here.
Man, Legion's 14-6. Force Koifa to burn through regen. If he can actually get some sort of support rotation from Alliance, I doubt that's going to happen just because Trixie is maintaining a constant presence. And that really does seem to be where Trixie thrives, is playing this off lane super aggressively and making all the support sit in lane in order to shut him out.
I think he's okay with this even without the rotations because he's probably telling his team like, yeah, just keep zoning out that Weaver. I'm winning my lane, so to speak. I mean, he's even on CS, but like that in itself to me is a good outcome of this lane against the TA for now. You're not expecting to ever really be able to shut down the TA's farm completely without having support involvement there, so they're dealing with Trixie while they get the stun, number 1, number 2, and they've got a kill up top. Nicely played by EGM and Handskin. Having the Sentry and Observer where they knew exactly when Weaver moved up in the lane and they punish it.
Nipper trying to make the most out of this free lane that they have, trying to get the necessary stacks and pulls off for Synderen. Let's get some good growth and farm. Rubik's going to make his way over to mid alongside Trixie. Trying to help Koifa out
punish
here.
Limp's aggression. He's playing very aggressive with his
lane.
They
popped the
styles,
smoke.
Always trade hits. Yeah.
Nice read by Trixie there, and there shouldn't be anything that comes of this. Koifa is still playing kind of forward.
Yeah, they're trying to bait it looks like, knowing they've got Synderen behind and Rubik's even coming back to the mid lane. This is 4 Nip heroes. Koifa.
They're going to take that bait, and a big blast is going to come through. Now they're turning around. EGM dropped low. That's going to be their target. Trixie looks to pick it up. Another blast is coming in, and that will be your first kill for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Just the 1 kill, though. I feel like considering how much of a successful bait it was and how well they brought Alliance in, I thought they were going to get more, so to speak, and it was just the support as well. Like, if you get only Limp there, I'm like, all right, that's pretty good. Or if you get both supports, like, yeah, decent. But getting only 1 support out of that, still obviously worth it and a decent outcome, but it wasn't quite as good as perhaps it could have been. The whole time Loda, of course, free farming away. And Limp, it doesn't really slow down his farm at all. He just backs off. He didn't even take any damage, so he's still in this mid lane, free farming away against the Templar Assassin.
Loda, he's being a big meanie, man. He's taking so many denies against Trixie. Trixie just cannot get it, even underneath the tower. Loda really putting in that extra effort to make sure the offlane Weaver does get shut down. Now, we actually had this conversation, right? Is the offlane Weaver, can it be successful when it does get shut down so heavily? And that was game 1. And that was honestly a game that was won based off the other lanes. It wasn't necessarily the Weaver. This game, I think the Weaver is going to have a bigger impact, and I think this will be a better test for the offlane Weaver and what impact can come of it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's underleveled, underfarmed, and the other lanes aren't being heavily won. I mean, there is potential for Era to start making some rotations and blowing the game open in NIP's favor, but that's we're yet to kind of see if that's going to be the case, because Koifa is definitely going to want to just play kind of more the farming efficiency game, use the Ancients nearby to try and get some good farm for himself. He's not going to be rotating until he has a bare minimum, like a Blink Treads or something.
Right. Lim spending some time with his Iron Talon in the jungle now, and Hunskin will clean up some of the farm in mid.
Makes sense, I guess, where you want to get that support. Level 6, you've got a mid laner who can farm equally well in the jungle, so may as well bring him back there. And doesn't really look like Alliance are trying to make any rotations. They're going to be going for the Midas on Loda again, it seems. Hasn't committed to it just yet, but I think based on last game's success, Alliance are happy to play at this kind of slower, more farming tempo early on. Get a few more key levels on themselves. I mean, Jonas is playing an offlane Mirana. That's not really that's also like a farming style offlane. Both teams, I feel like the offlane Mirana is a very similar hero to the offlane Weaver in a lot of ways. It's more of a farming core rather than like a ganking hero. Isn't like the traditional like teamfight or initiating offlaner. It's one of like the offlaners that tries to transition into a carry in some ways.
Right. Koifa does have the backup of 2 supports. They have the counter ward in place, so that freshman ward gets taken out immediately. Nip are going to be a little bit low on vision all around.
Ooh, he's got a couple of ancient stacks lying around, which is definitely handy. Something they prep for him with this DD rune. I imagine he wants to just use this to farm the ancients. There's not really any good kill opportunities, perhaps with a Rubik lift out of a smoke or something, but if anything, you'd rather like use your DD to farm an ancient stack than to kill a support, for example. So I think Koifa's the efficiency plays. He just wants to keep on farming. Perhaps he's going to get another point in Side Blades at level 8 and then try and farm those camps.
Fresh counter wards laid down, but Trixie will get the Shikuchi away from EGM, just outside range of that magic missile. There's the hand of minus for Loda as well. And I agree with you. I like this, especially since it does feel like Loda, our alliance as a whole, is going to maintain a lot of early to mid-game strength via their draft. It does feel like it's okay to take away from some of that early game for a little bit more of later game pressure.
And I guess similar to the last game, it's like there's no blink carrier right away. So until, I mean, you've got to support Slatter. They're not going to farm. You're going to have your armlet probably before Slatter has a blink. Similarly, Legion, even though he's farming while mid, he's going to go treads. And actually looking, at least for now, with the queued up armlet. And this is typically what we're seeing from most Legions, is you go the armlet before the blink. Perhaps some of the offlane Legions go for the blink first sometimes. If you're farming one on lane, it seems like going for that armlet as your first item works out quite nicely.
That was so close, Era.
Yeah. Limp was preemptively TPing as if it already landed.
Yeah, that would have been a great arrow into a duel, into a big-time kill on a safe lane free-farming Ember Spirit. Top lane looks like Trixie. Small go there, but only a pittance of damage. He'll walk it off with Shikuchi.
You said best. Trixie loves these precious situations where there's 3 heroes against him. He's such a nuisance, and somewhere around he's got a couple heroes nearby, although Hani's headed back mid. Syndra's still sitting behind him. Not too many levels on the Rubik, still just level 4. Venge already level 6 for EGM. He's had a bit more time just going for some of these pulls in the side camp and been a bit more successful with his early game. And it looks like Alliance's support's in a slightly better position in terms of overall levels.
Slow down. Trap, TA trap, a big one onto Hanskin will allow Era to be able to close the distance with his Remnant. They do have the Moonlight Shadow, and Hanskin will actually walk back into the press of the attack from Legion Commander.
There's a shrine there if they need it, yeah. Not even going to need the shrine. No. Looks like they want to save that one.
Small window there, missed out by Nip. Their attempt to rotate the Ember Spirit and finally make this hero a bit more active. This is one of the more aggressive heroes that Nip have in their roster. Coddle, TA, even Weaver. They're not really hitting the same kind of power spikes that are pretty obvious. They spend a little bit more time farming. Ember Spirit is one of those heroes that as soon as he reaches his higher levels and Flame Guard and Searing Chains, he can just triple Remnant people down over and over again. So Alliance do need to play a little bit of a dancing game around that hero.
It's a little bit worrying when that first Ember rotation achieves nothing. Like, you're expecting that Ember move mid to almost guaranteed get a kill. A hero like a Slater who doesn't have the best escape shouldn't be too difficult to take down, so the fact Nip misjudged it and don't even have the damage to bring him down, perhaps a little bit concerning. Even though their TA is still farming very well, and it's gone for, the Midas as well, so it'll be a full-on Midas game.
Trixie, you had a free out there, but he time-lapsed back in, and since the corrosive phase is on him, he's done. Mid lane, Limp and Jonas some fun, they're good, okay, never mind. Alliance is apparently going to be able to pick up kills on cores all around the board and not be punished for it.
Yeah. So, we like the lifesteal Midas. What do we feel about the TA one, then?
I'm not a fan.
You're not? Yeah, I didn't think I was. I wasn't really either. I think this hero just... You get the fast blink, and then you pair it with the Ember. Like, the Ember rotates in, Remnant, Searing Chains, TA blinks on, easy kills. Like, you want to hit that blink deso timing at the earliest possible moment, so... I don't know. Not a fan either.
Yeah, Nip. I think they tried to match Midas for Midas last time, and a part of it is like their draft doesn't allow them to be super aggro, as you said. They don't have an early blink carrier or something like that. Could have threatened the Lifestealer. And I could see Koifa's thought process. You know, he has to match this Lifestealer in many ways. He is the counter. But I would have preferred them trying to be a lot more aggressive and punish Alliance. Koifa's now going to be caught by a smoke rotation. Presumably not going to make it out of here. Blink would be nice, but his Hand of Midas won't save him here.
And that is a easy Roshan to follow this one up if they want it. Doesn't look like they're going to go for it. Maybe not an easy Rosh. I mean, they've got amp damage, they've got Lifestealer, but also you're giving up space elsewhere on the map, and perhaps they're going to find an additional pick-off if Nip aren't careful here. Oh, the Invis Jewel. They've got him.
Limp's got him. Corrosive Haze. Oh, he buffs a time-lapse, but he's still right there in the same spot for Limp to collect the duel. Eric gets spotted out by EGM, but he will manage to get away. Still, though, a win for Limp. He gets his first duel damage.
Yeah, this is looking very good for Alliance with the Lifestealers farm. He's starting to get active now. As kind of mentioned, you go for the Midas first. You still get this armlet at a good time where you can make movements when your team's a bit stronger. Like Slaughter just having levels. He doesn't even need to have the blink on Handskin, but just having that level 3 sprint with level 4 crush has meant he's got that bit of extra mobility and gap close potential. EGM's got the swap and is level 8. Just feels like Loda's now choosing to fight at a time that's more opportune for the Alliance squad. And maintaining... Often the problem is, like, you go for that fast armlet, and if you start TPing around and smoke ganking with your team, your farm falls off heavily. But having the Midas gives him at least some farm assurance, even when he's trying to fight.
Yeah, I really like this hand of Midas. When you have a support Slardar and you're not going to be threatened in the laning phase, it just feels like your timings match up a lot better. The off-lane Slardar, it'd be like, okay, I've got my Blink Dagger and you only have a hand of Midas. That doesn't really feel effective for our duo. But as you said, the still gets an armlet pretty quickly. Still going to make use of this combo.
A lot of teams, like with their lifesteals, aren't running tri-lanes with him. They're putting him in a 2v2 lane where he's getting contested, or even sometimes you see these like solo lifesteals with 2 roaming supports, and those are situations where the Midas probably doesn't work as well, but Loda gets the full dedicated tri-lane treatment. So it seems for Alliance, I think other teams wouldn't get away with the Midas, but for the Alliance with their support playstyle, it works out better.
Koifa being sure to place a Templar Assassin trap inside the Roshan pit, says he knows Alliance could be doing it anytime soon. A smoke up from Aaron. Hani's going to run into Jonas Savant. That's a pretty big kill. They use their steering chains, going to double a remnant. Jonas Savant can still get out. In fact, a long leap does get him some distance. There is one more remnant there. Era's out of range with this Flame Guard burn, though.
He's got
34 HP. Meanwhile, top lane, looks like they're going to be able to kill the Templar Assassin. That's a big one. Almost catching Trixie as well, but he managed to get the time lapse away. Bottom lane, tier 1 tower may be dropped here, but Nip really wanted the extra kill on top of that, especially... Oh, the arrow misses too. Rubik tried to catch him unawares. Limp gets the deny. It just seems to rack up for Alliance here. Nip loss after loss.
They're not executing their ganks. So we saw it earlier where the Ember TP's mid, Remnant's in, doesn't kill the Slaughter. Now it has same story at bottom lane. I don't know what they're just somewhat like not bringing enough heroes or just not having enough damage. I mean, I think a part of it is their lineup. Like Coddle can't really be there. He's not the easiest hero to rotate with an Ember and keep up. Landing an Illuminate, you'd have to like pre-channel. It's hard to hit the Illuminate on heroes except when you're defending. So they just don't seem to be able to find these key kills that they need to be getting. And I think a big part is if Koikva had gone for that fast blink, he could actually be pairing up with the Ember Spirit to fight and find these pickoffs. But the end result is it's Alliance finding kill after kill.
Savant
is right now.
Is he going to die this time around? Does get chained up, so they're not going to chain their disables, especially with the arrow that Hani still had stolen.
Nice steal, yeah.
It does slow down that Aghanim Scepter. The Blade of Alacrity was coming in pretty quickly, and that would have finished off the Ags for Mirana. We'll have a slight delay on that one. But still, he is transitioning into a core, like you said.
Yeah, and the nice thing for Alliance with their farming offlaner who's going to be more of like a traditional carry in some ways is they've got a 4-position Slaughter, so they've got that guaranteed initiation even with a farming offlaner, whereas for Nip, you've got this offlane Weaver where you're lacking initiation, but your supports don't provide that initiation. Rubik is, I mean, he's not going to have a blink anytime soon. Even a blink Rubik is not really comparable to a Slaughter and what he offers as an initiator, so it does feel like Alliance strategically are going to be just fine having, and if not in a fantastic position in the late game, having these 3 cores with a Slaughter.
Hani and Era, they've been moving this duel around quite a bit. They're going to go for another smoke gang together, try and maintain the presence in the other lanes with their heroes, try and show on map, see if they can get a surprise rotation. They may just catch Jonas Savant again. He's like, I'm so close to the Aghanim Scepter. Please, God, no. Don't let this happen again. And he's good. Leap. The maxed out leap.
Yeah. I mean, these are, again, like rotations that you need to be successful in, and I really feel like this is like one of the most passive TAs I've seen. Like you watch what most teams are doing with the TA. Like you farm and you prioritize taking the Ancients as often as possible, but then you look to fight. Now Koifa has to fight.
Oh, Alliance, are you going to throw away this game in a Roshan attempt? They had an Invis Templar Assassin. Now they jump in, a big hit, and a blinding light push out. Koifa snatched up the Aegis, and now it's cleanup on aisle 6. Ninjas and Pyjamas are going to take 3 heroes of Alliance take their Roshan away. They even killed the Rosh itself, so they got everything out of that engagement. Everything you could possibly hope for NiP. This game just got blown wide open.
Yeah, going for that Rosh. Very risky against the traps. Loda, is he actually going to get caught out as well? Doesn't look like it. Trixie is just going for the style plays, but he needs to be getting out of there pretty soon with the Mirana in hot pursuit. But they get towers to fold this one up. They've still got the Aegis to play around.
Oh, Trixie.
Fantastic sequence of events.
Oh my god, he's actually getting away. He managed to shoot Kuchi ahead of that crush. The corrosive haze is going to last for a really long time, so I don't think he's making out of here. The blink will finally catch up, and Hanskin will lock him down. So Trixie and his style plays on Loda does actually turn into a death on him. Loda's now going to be caught, but he does have the rage. No TP, though, and a corrosive haze stolen up by Hani means they can rip him apart with the physical damage of NiP. Alliance, they're falling apart here.
Yeah. I mean, Trixie makes these plays where you're like, is that really worth it? And then you look at what's happening elsewhere on the map for his team, and you're like, actually, it's fine. They got the tier 1 mid, the tier 1 top, and then they kill Loda. You're like, all right, well, he just distracted two heroes who couldn't really help Loda out, and like you say, Alliance seemingly throwing away, not the game just yet, but their lead for sure in game number 3 with that Rosh attempt. All of a sudden, a 5,000, maybe closer to 6,000 gold swing in the course of a minute, all because of that. And suddenly Koikfa has just been fed a blink, Desolator to go with his Blink Dagger. He's already level 17 now, and things are looking a whole lot better for an NIP team that, in my mind, were really struggling in game 3.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a quick and clean closeout here for Alliance, but the road's pretty bumpy now. Limp still farming away. He's going to be doing his neutrals, and he will have that Blink armlet. So we'll have a bit better initiation for Alliance, and that is their one advantage. They will have almost the entire game. In fact, the entire game. Initiation always going to be in favor of Alliance, and if the initiation is right, you can make any lineup work, no matter how late you go. So NiP are still have to fear a lot from Alliance, even with that comeback in the Roshan pit.
Curious to see if Era picks the Blink Dagger. He's just about got the money for it. Moonlight Shadow being used. Alliance wanting to gauge into this. There is a Sentry Ward on the cliff, and Koikfa preemptively melding could be the answer, but they haven't walked into range of the Sentry just yet.
Blast comes out. Alliance starts showing some of the heroes. Quick leap away. It's the Force Staff threatening them. They do have the scan onto Koikfa. See if they just throw out a blind arrow or something, or if they just going to stay away from NiP at all costs. And that's probably the better play, honestly, with that Aegis still in hand. They have vision of him. Counter ward and ward. Again, it's the Aegis hero, so they are going to make a combination play. They're going to swap him back into the tier 2, so when he comes back, he's still in considerable danger. With the arrow coming out, he's actually immediately going to land on Koikfa, and he dies just like that. Underneath the tier 2 tower, NiP have now lost their Aegis advantage, lost their team fight play here, and are going to have to full-on retreat, but Cinerin's going to be the extra hero caught behind. Hanskin managed to blink forward, get a corrosive haze on him, and they will find, Hani? Careful there. Is that leap really worth it? Arrow coming out. Hani jukes it.
That was really well played by Alliance. As soon as they got vision there, I mean, that was just perfect execution. I mean, hats off to Jonas. He made the hard play timing the arrow on the Aegis respawn, but it was the real team decision there to make it go on an Aegis. There are a lot of spells, including a duel on an Aegis. Sometimes that puts you in a position where you just have to immediately retreat, but they knew with that arrow coming in that they could get the kills now top. They've caught Era.
Yeah, they have the Aghanims and the Infest combination, so that will be an easy duel win. Trixie, has the time lapse up, but it looks like he's just going to Shikuchi away. And should be good. Hanskin still looking to catch him. The corrosive haze is now gone after the time lapse, and Trixie will make his way into the trees, so unlikely to be found anymore.
Brave time lapse.
Yes,
I guess
it was.
He felt like he wasn't going to outrun them, even with Shikuchi, because of the sprinting Slider. So Slider's got like permanent Shikuchi movement speed, so he felt like he had to get rid of the corrosive haze. But almost went right back into that said Slider. Regardless, Ember's dead, which means looking like it should be a tier 1 top tower, but the creep wave has already died. Hanskin is prepped, Invis up behind it, and Trixie needs to be careful here.
This Invis rune could mean a free pick off on Trixie. Runs into him. Hanskin not throwing out that stun just yet. He needs a visible.
Hiding in the trees.
Visible Weaver to Corrosive Haze and stun. Limp maybe catching Cinderin. Yeah. See, blink back. Cinderin has a little bit of time here to work with the Force Staff. Does manage to juke out Limp a bit. If he really wants to make it out, though, he needs to TP. That's not up for another 3 seconds. Limp may still be able to find him. The Moonlight Shadow. Does he search the right way? Goes right. Should have gone left. And he'll miss out on that kill.
Bit of misfortune there, gets in the wrong way, but nice Force Staff over by Cinderin. Still at top lane is Hanskin and Loda, fishing for a kill up top, and Nip may misread and think that Alliance is suddenly all at bottom. A lot of them are, but this two-man duo can find kills very easily up top.
Especially with...
Any hero, perhaps Koikva the only one who can survive the combo with the refraction up, but anyone else is a kill.
Yeah, even that refraction, they have Basher now on the Lifestealer, so if he gets a little lucky, they could actually still kill Koifa as well.
Koifa, though, level 19, partly thanks to the Midas. I mean, he's 3 levels ahead of the Lifestealer himself, and you can definitely see where that Midas starts to kick in at this late stage of the game. The level 25 talent is very, very good on TA, so definitely one of the benefits of getting this Midas if you get away with it, which it feels like with that Roche fight, they kind of have gotten away with the Midas. We'll see if Alliance can catch them out, though, with this smoke.
Smoke not going to find anything. Do have the positioning, though, to go for these mid-tower pushes if they want to let Nip go for the tier 2 at top lane. Their safe lane towers, even if it is a tier 2, there may be a better strategic advantage in taking the enemy's mid-towers.
Yeah, it
control
makes the Roche fight a little bit easier. It's still tough because of that shrine around the area, but that shrine doesn't give vision. That mid-tier 1 tower just means you know that there's not going to be enemies able to like move through that mid lane and flank you, since you can always see what's going on around that area. But right now both teams posturing for it. I like Nip's position at this stage because they've got the trap vision, which they can, well, in theory they've got trap vision. They need a, I think something like we saw Dendy's TA when he was playing the other day, he had traps covering the map. Like every possible trap was like spread within like maybe like 500 range of each other.
Era caught out. That a crush and a bash. And Era gets exploded by the Alliance duo.
Yep. And they're looking for more. I think they realize Trixie is in here.
Do you catch him with the crush? He gets off the Shikuchi. Still has the time lapse too. He's trying to get away from Hanskin. Throws out now the time lapse into the Shikuchi. Will manage to get away. Alliance are rapidly coming in here. The arrow. Ooh, Jonas Sampan does get a leap out. Burns a little bit more of his mana as a result, though. Limp trying to make the initiation on the backgrounds. Not going to find it.
Yeah. They did have the Ember buyback, but it doesn't seem worth risking a defense using an Ember buyback for a fight that's not really on advantageous terms. Not necessarily at a disadvantage, but Alliance were all there, well positioned and split up. There wasn't any easy initiation for MIP. I mean, they don't have a clean initiator. It's the Slater of Alliance who's the king of initiations at this stage of the game, so I think the right call just to back off, give the tower up, and wait for a Roche fight to play the contest game.
Roshan will be coming up in a minute here. Last time around, it was a big win for Ninjas of Pyjamas, but I doubt Alliance are going to make the same kind of smoke play as they attempted last time. They do see Jonas and Fawn thanks to this ward right now, so this smoke, they may be able to find a decent initiation here before Roshan spawns. They're going to blow up Jonas and Fawn. They do also see Hanskin. May still be able to get the hold on him, but Hanskin does have backup. They're going to have Limp coming in with the duel. Now the follow-up. Koifa, he jumps in, but underneath the shrine, he can't actually output any damage, so they manage to pick up 2 here, and maybe Trixie as well. He runs out of Shikuchi, has a time-lapse up, now Corrosive Haze, and ho-ho-ho! At double damage, Limp.
Well,
Pow!
That Legion Commander hurt. That was some serious physical damage coming out from him, and killing the TA. They can take these last couple out of towers, theoretically. The top creep wave needs to push a bit more, but that's 45 seconds. Potential Roche as well. They're leaving the Alpha Wolf in there, so they'll scout that out immediately. I think they'll probably prioritize Roche over all the tier 2s, knowing they can finish the tier 2s with an Aegis. So we'll see where they go after this tier 2 mid lane, but really big win for Alliance. That team fight victory comes at the perfect time, and it's so dangerous playing at the Shrine. It wasn't even the heal, it's the fact that the Mirana who gets picked off can instantly buy back and TP in, and anyone else who dies can buy back TP in as well. It's effectively the same as fighting underneath a tower. With instead of like attacking like a tower, it heals your team and acts as a TP point, much like a tower does as well. So very, very bad fight for NIP.
Yeah, it was especially Koifa's commitment there that was, I think, particularly disastrous as he blinks forward. He's the one who picked up that Hand of Midas, who has such high levels for the Radiant side, has all this gold and net worth, and he just gives it away so quickly. Doesn't get any damage out on Alliance, just gets popped, and now Nipper playing that scrambling game where they don't really have map control. They know all their objectives are going to be taken, and they're just trying to make the most of the map until they have to high ground defense.
Loda's just working. He's actually, he picked up the Hyperstone, thinking of looking like an Assault Crest, but he's going back for a Mjolnir now. Very good item to help break that TA refraction, which may become actually quite important this game, as far as the TA when she hits level 25. Also pretty nice to just chuck on your Legion Commander when he's initiating in, so it makes Limp a bit more powerful in the front lines when he goes for a duel. Like if he duels, you don't want to suddenly focus him down to try and turn the duel around because of it.
Era kind of poking at EGM here, seeing what rotations they could force. Trixie was sitting on top of the shrine.
Loda.
So Nip had that whole entire thing kind of planned out.
The Infest gank once again, but doesn't look like Ant's going to be able to get any kind of a blink crush. But he's shrined up, so he is going to go back in, but the Observer Ward should prevent too much from it happening here. Trixie's... okay, it was out of mana, but he did have just enough for the TP out.
Well, that play by Nip, I like it. You know, it was kind of a poke. They had someone sitting on the shrine to be able to see that rotation. It did buy them time for the BKB on Templar Assassin, and that was very clearly a missing item in the last engagement. They need something that allows Koifa to be able to right-click uninhibited.
Yeah. Just a few too many stuns to worry about, and that's where Alliance talked about at the start. Like, they just have plenty of lockdown to enable the lifesteal to do a lot of damage. And even if an arrow lands, your game's over. There's not even without an arrow. There's the Venge Missile. There's the Slaughter Crush. There's ample amount of disable to go around this Alliance team, and they are hunting. They are looking for kills, but this has been largely scouted out by the Radiant Vision, the wards as well as the traps. So something Alliance have had to deal with and made it a bit more difficult for them to find these pickoffs.
Hanskin in his Moonlight Shadow was spotted out, so he knows there's at least a counter ward up here on the cliff. That's all they're going to find. Nipper playing the hard edges of the map right now, knowing they're being hunted by Alliance.
Alliance at some point may just say, alright, let's stop hunting for kills, let's just try and force a lane, but they don't have that sniper this time to force DPS out onto the buildings. Limp perhaps thinking that the Assault Crest will make that high ground push a little bit easier, and they've got a small little window with the Aegis left, bit under 2 minutes, so will be enough time for him to complete the Assault Crest and still go for a push if that's going to be the call. But again, like it's a nice item to help you push high ground with, but it's still like you haven't got that sniper. It still requires the lifesteal and the Legion Commander to be on that high ground and putting themselves in a vulnerable, exposed position.
Yeah, and Nip do have some kind of scary heroes to go high ground into, right? Templar Assassin with the burst damage, but it's Ember Spirit and Weaver, those highly mobile and poke at you heroes that are going to be hard for Alliance to deal with without the... because they don't have a sustain hero either. They don't have a safe right-clicker onto towers, and they also don't have a mech hero, something like that. So all that poke damage will have a very credible impact against Alliance's high ground.
Yeah, and their best bet's probably just going to be putting Loda up there, like for a couple of seconds with Rage, have him back off before it wears off, because even just a telekinesis could pull you deeper into the base and cause problems. But Jonas leaps forward, gives the leap attack speed, and Nip weren't even in position to defend this. They had 3 heroes top. They're really just caught a bit by surprise here.
There goes the blinding light, and now here comes some of that damage that we were talking about from Nip, but it may be just a bit too late. They use the Rage now for Loda to finish off that melee Rax, while Limp deals with the Rage Rax, and Nip, they don't even get their opportunity to high ground defend like they wanted to. The Moonlight Shadow goes out, Alliance start backing away. They'll be good, though.
They just weren't in position. They weren't spamming out the lanes with Coddle. They had 3 heroes top, perhaps just trying to be farming efficient, and Alliance just charged through that bottom lane. Jonas just leaped over the 2 melee cores to give them that bonus attack speed, and suddenly there's the Lifestealer with Rage and the Legion on the high ground tearing your racks apart. The Assault Caress, and most importantly for Limp, is he had the Aegis, so even if he gets pulled in, he's still pushing with pretty low risk because of that extra life. High ground pushing without the Aegis now gets a little bit more difficult, but really great timing by Alliance. They found a tiny window with AC and Aegis to get a lane of racks.
Are they going to go high ground again while Ember Spirit has Boots of Travel on cooldown?
Ember's not going to threaten to take a Rax. It's
no.
Be annoying, but you pushed way faster.
All right, he's going to jump back to his Remnant. I didn't see he had one, but Limp, half health now. That Desolator chops beginning to do their work. Koifa's going to commit here. Blinking forward does get the Meld Strike, but Armlet Toggle keeps Limp alive. Now Trixie's the target from Loda. Does manage to get off the time-lapse just in time. Koifa's BKB is wearing out. Alliance, they're not feeling good about the turnaround, though. They're going to try and back away. Hanskin's going to be caught. Nice blink forward by Hani, catching him with the Crush. They lose a support. They can lose a core. Loda has the Rage still up. Managed to get off the chains. He doesn't have an Infest, though. He's going to have to play purely off of Armlet Toggles and press the attack. There goes the press the attack, taking off that Mana Leak. They're pursuing a little bit deeper. Tried to Armlet Toggle at the wrong time. Right as Era blinked in. Got some Flame Guard damage. And actually does manage to get that extra core kill.
Yeah, we can see there the high ground Nip defense that we were talking about. It felt like, okay, they just... Where is this high ground defense? We talked it up. They took a free Rax at bottom, and it felt like they were taking a free tower in mid, but then the jump came, and they managed to get Limp really low. The problem with Legion Commander without the Aegis has to play a bit defensively, and once he's on that tier 3 tower, he really exposed himself and kind of forces the rest of Alliance to go into a fight to get him out of there alive. And
ooh, a Yul's into an arrow. That's a good combination. Magic Missile as well. The Blinding Light bounce back, though. That stopped Limp from being able to close the distance for the duel. The chain stun that was required. Now he's going to be stunned up. Hani blinks in, hits the Crush, so it's stolen away. Limp is almost dropped here. Koifa makes the commitment. They take him down. He may have to buy back here because the fight is still going to go out. Hanskin pops his BKB and does manage to get away. Trixie hit by another Magic Missile, but a blast is coming in. It's going to heal up Trixie and hit Jonas and Fawn pretty hard. Nip are going to have their chance to still take that full lane of Rax at mid without the buybacks, but there it is. Legion Commander's buyback has been forced, and that's all Nip really wanted anyway.
That was some great plays from Hani. We've carped a bit on the Nip lineup, like lacking initiation, and that's going to really cripple them in the mid-late game. Well, he says, I'll take the Slatter's initiation, steals the Crash, gets a great Blink Crush on multiple heroes, and then after he's stolen the Crash, he gets to press the attack, puts it on the TA to give her a ton of attack speed, and Koifa does a lot of damage thanks to the Rubik with the lockdown as well as the press the attack, so really nicely played from him, but it's still a Rax advantage for Alliance, and you've got to imagine Alliance will be eyeing off that next Roshan with the Slatter, Venge, the Minus Armor, the Lifestealer. They can kill it very quickly, so Nip need to stay proactive on the map. Need to get vision up, get these lanes pushed out if they want to be able to contest that one.
All right, gods. I don't usually like to talk about items too much. I feel like a lot of it is personal flavor, but Koifa here, there's 3 items I think that had potential choice, right? He could Butterfly, Daedalus, or Bloodthorn. Your thoughts?
Yes.
You may not have the opportunity to talk about it because we actually have a smoke on both sides.
Let's see what happens here first, as the vision advantage will go Alliance's way.
No longer daytime.
No. Koifa really needs to get traps up. I feel like there's a severe lack of traps on the map. That's an expensive courier.
Yeah, that really was.
Was that the Butterfly?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So between those items, ooh.
Yeah, your thoughts on Butterfly's evasion versus the heavy burst damage of what Daedalus would give you?
I'd normally say I really like the Bloodthorn, but I don't like it against Legion Commander, so I think that kind of rules the Bloodthorn out a bit this game.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I would defer to the player here just because I'm not familiar enough with the TA, but I think I would lean more towards the Daedalus. Like, he just needs to maximize his damage output during a BKB rather than worry about surviving. Rely on the refraction, especially the level 25 refraction talent, to stay alive.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I would normally say 100% Daedalus was his next pickup, but he surprised me with this Butterfly, or attempted Butterfly, which is now missing for this next engagement because the courier got picked off.
And he has no buyback. He's not level 25, which makes a big difference for him. This is a tough timing. And most importantly, there's an Aegis on lane. If they can break that Aegis for free, if they get a cheap Aegis, that would be fantastic for Nip on this high ground defense. And with Limp low, they really have to kind of back off. They haven't got that heal or sustain for the push. He's trying to lifesteal his way back up, but that's a slow and steady endeavor.
Yeah, it's kind of rough for Alliance to initiate with press the attack stolen by Hani. He's only got it for a little bit longer, but you know, just like how the Bloodthorn is not a good option, right? Some of these instant disables, some of these heroes can just get countered right away by press the attack.
The Quickfire, perhaps lucky, will be able to buy time for that courier to get his butterfly back. I mean, it is very single target right-click damage focus on Alliance. Like the butterfly evasion will be very useful in that sense. Not to mention, like, some attack speed it is a slight source of damage output, but nowhere near comparable to a Daedalus.
Vengeful
I
Spirits
just don't feel like he's going to be like a huge damage dealer against all this, like against the Shivers on Mirana, against the AC. And they've got a Vlad's too. The Ventures of Vlad's. That's a lot of armor being stacked up. He may actually lack damage output in these fights.
Yeah, we've seen how long it takes for him to eat through the Legion Commander or Lifestealer when he's gone on them. The Butterfly's not going to help out that much, but we'll see. He does have some other sources of damage. Trixie with the Diffuser Blade and is finishing up a Lincoln Sphere pretty soon.
I think Alliance are going to change their approach here. It looks like they're trying to position EGM for a swap into a Slaughter Crush. He goes for the wave, doesn't see anyone for a swap though, but there we go, gets Trixie.
Duel back, but a stolen swap by Hani. Maybe they can save Trixie. Not good enough. Hani almost dies from that as well. They do manage to get the range tracks, and an instant buyback comes out from Trixie. A trap onto Limp. He is the one with the Aegis, so Alliance can still fight around this one, even with Limp. No HP and little mana. Vice versa here, EGM looks for it, just ends up running out of mana as they kill that ward.
2 minutes on the Aegis if they want to back off, shrine up perhaps, and go for another run. Limp's kind of headed that direction as if that's going to be the call. Just a range track's not really what you're hoping for out of this next Aegis. And if you do give TA space to get the Daedalus with the Butterfly, then you're looking at a problematic situation.
But you'll now be fighting into daytime Keeper of the Light. Is that enough of a factor to sway you to delaying and waiting for the next Aegis and the next nighttime?
It's hard to push, I feel. They didn't use their glyph on the Nip side, so Alliance is probably aware of that too, that they're fighting to glyph, but they smoke up. Nip actually want to take the fight to them. Very surprised by this because the Aegis still has a good duration on it, but they feel like they can get the jump and burst down a key hero here.
Oh, they see the courier coming in, so they know these heroes are smoked up, but the initiation still comes true for a Nip. But Koifa can't put out the damage on this Ghost Scepter, so now it's going to be Alliance's initiation, who's a little bit better. They've already scored 2. They've locked down Koifa as well. Limp, he eliminates him under the duel. Now it's going to be mass buybacks, going to be forced out of Nip, and they just don't have the buybacks. They're going to be able to get the Coddle as well, but it's 2 of the cores down permanently for Ninjas of Pyjamas. A full minute there.
Yeah, I didn't see how Eric got locked down, but the rest of the fight was... Whatever happened there, the rest of the fight was just as bad. Koikfe is going to die a second time, and that's it. That's game over. There's nothing you can do at that point if you're Nip. And very bold call, leaving your base, fighting into the Aegis, fighting outside of your high ground defense, and it does not pay off for Nip.
Yeah, he... maybe Nip felt like they were just going to get chipped away too much, and they needed to be the ones... on the aggressive, play to win, not just play to stall out the game, and I can respect that, but it does result in their loss here in Alliance in this Game 3. Nip will be the first team knocked out of Group B.
Yeah, it's a tough result for them, but again, they are trying to still figure out how this new rosters of theirs is going to work. They're one of the newer lineups as far as the European squads go, and something we've kind of talked about, it